My name is Jenna Palant, and I'm a style-crazed full-time creative living in sunny San Diego. In 2016, my husband and I purchased our forever home, and now, in between balancing my upholstery business, our 4 dogs, and just life in general, I'm going to renovate our home room by room, project by project myself, with some fun help from a few of my friends along the way. And I'm going to share it all with you right here on YouTube. So, are you ready to see a room bloom?
Well, 2020 sure doesn't seem to want to. Oy vey, color lovers! Welcome back to a brand new episode of Room Bloom on YouTube. Did you start to wonder where I went? It has literally been one thing after another with renovation supply deliveries for our formal living room. So much so, the one-room challenge deadline came and so went. I'm also still waiting for the rest of that 70s sofa fabric. So I did a poll on Insta Stories a few weeks back, and an overwhelming amount of you color lovers voted for me to stay in the formal living room space, but to move on from the sofa project for the time being, which technically would have been its built-in bar, but since I'm also waiting on some of its supplies still as well, there was only really one other project for me to work on. And that is the super secret additional formal living room project. Wait, I don't remember that in your original ORC plans. Well, that's because this project wasn't originally on my radar for the formal living room. But with the multiple delays on this project space, I had to do something to remedy my soured mood. And since I hadn't really started considering what other design elements for the walls in the formal living room, I figured that was a great place to shift my focus. And that's when I ran across this photo on Not Another Mod Snob's IG, featuring this painted raw plaster bookshelf, and my heart literally skipped a beat. I wanted her and wanted her bad. But of course, that vintage beauty was already sold. So I reached out to my dear friend Tatiana of Casa Bella Vintage in Palm Springs to see if she could hunt me down something similar. And in typical Tatiana fashion, she more than delivered. Aren't they cool? I just love how these bookshelves mimic the shape of the formal living room's windows. Kismet? I think so. I mean, sure. These vintage twins are a little past their prime, but nothing a little colorful TLC can't fix. So I reached out to my friends at the Home Depot to see if they would be interested in teaming up for this project. And they did. So after a quick supply run to my home away from home, the Home Depot, I got to work on the raw plaster bookshelves, starting with the removal of their beat up brass bases. Man, those have definitely seen some better days. Quickly moving on to the replacement of the bookshelves' cut up electrical cords. Now I am not a licensed electrician, but luckily for us, I did learn a thing or two about electrical on the farm back home in Nebraska. So using the electrical knowledge I have, I cut off the bad part of the electrical cords and stripped back the good part of each one about 3/4 of an inch. Then, using the lamp replacement cords I picked up at the Home Depot, I twisted the end of each new cord to the good part of the originals, and then capped them together with a plastic wire connector. I also used a little electrical tape around the connectors as well, just for an extra good measure. All right, moment of truth, color lovers. Oh, that's a sad little light. Well, at least the electrical works. Guess I'm going back to the Home Depot for some light bulbs as well. Once the electrical was fixed, next it was time to repair some of the cracks in the bookshelf's plaster, which is something I have never done before. But thanks to this super affordable patching compound I found at the Home Depot, Fix It All, I actually felt confident doing so. The compound's instructions were crystal clear, it mixed up very easily, and seriously only cost $5 for this 4.5-pound box. And I've got a lot left. Using a putty knife, I applied the plaster compound anywhere I saw a chip or a crack in the plaster, in hopes of stopping any future deterioration. I also loved how fast the patching compound dried, literally in 30 minutes flat, allowing me to sand the compound in about the time it took me to apply it. Then a quick cleaning before moving on to primer, using a new-to-me Behr product, Behr Multi-Surface Stain Blocking Primer and Sealer. That's best for use with uncoated previously painted surfaces, which these are. and dries to a non-reflective sheen which minimizes the appearance of minor surface imperfections and medium to heavy stains, which these definitely have. Plus, it's also tintable, which is an added bonus since I picked a deep base top coat color that usually requires multiple coats. So I had it tinted with the same top coat hue, which made the primer turn into this Pepto-Bismol pink, but they won't be that way for too long. Don't you worry. After allowing the primer to dry overnight, I woke up the next day so excited to paint that top coat of color. And wowzers, this is really where I started to see my design vision come to life. I simply knew that these raw plaster bookshelves could be beautiful again. They just needed a little TLC and color. It took me 2 different days and 2 ample coats of Behr paint to get that XOXO Behr paint color to my liking. And then I had only one other DIY step left before their glow up was complete. And that task was once again something I had never done before. And that was working with metal. Using brass sheeting I purchased from a local metal supplier here in San Diego, I brushed each piece with my DeWalt orbital sander, starting with 220 grit sandpaper first, and then finishing the process with 400 grit. Then using contact cement, I applied a thin layer of glue to both surfaces, allowing it to get a little tacky before clamping the newly brushed brass sheeting to their bases, completing their Room Bloom transformation. So what do y'all color lovers think? I mean, minus reinstalling their glass shelving, these still vintage but majorly improved raw plaster bookshelves are ready for some styling. And the best part of them all, thanks to the Home Depot, Tatiana and I were able to keep these estate sale items from going to a landfill. And that in itself is a major home renovation win in my book. I hope you enjoyed this brand new episode of Room Bloom on YouTube. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Laters!